This kid was found alone in the woods, and he was attacked not by one but by two of the most dangerous monsters in The Sims 4. Vladislaus and Greg, a vampire and a werewolf, chasing one child, one innocent, helpless child. But the weird thing is, this kid has no scars, no bite marks. So what's the deal? In fact, he is the only citizen of the werewolf town who doesn't have any scars or bite marks. So how did he become a werewolf? Today we're digging into the mysterious world of Jacob Volkov, his strange transformation, and his dream of becoming an alpha. But please like this video, please. If you love Sims lore like I do, it really helps me see that you're interested in this type of content and motivates me to make more. Now grab a drink, tune your guitar, and let's see what happened to Jacob Volkov. Jacob is the golden boy of the Moonwood Collective. He's the kind of kid you would love to have as a son, minus the part where he turns into a werewolf and scares his classmates. But still, he manages to be a straight A student in spite of it all. He is super outgoing and loves being around people. He loves working out and playing his guitar. And he is the only werewolf who is a vegetarian. And he's been a vegetarian for a long time. We know that because his vegetarian trait is something you can have as a child, and his outgoing trait is something you can only have as a teen. He's been a vegetarian even before he turned into a werewolf. Jacob grew up in Evergreen Harbor. It's the town that comes with the eco pack. And he ran away into the woods until he found Moonwood Mill. The reason he ran away into the woods might shock you. Kristopher actually found Jacob when he was just a teen, as Jacob was running away from a fire. He says, "I was born in Evergreen Harbor. I don't remember much because I was pretty young when I left. Dad says that maybe I forgot what happened for a reason. I remember that there was a fire and that afterward I was lost in the woods for a long time." So the memories of what happened that night are buried deep, and they are locked behind memory loss because it was that traumatic for him. But Jacob recalls the fire and that he was alone, lost in the woods. But what's up with the memory loss? The way Jacob talks about it is like his mind is protecting him of something that even he cannot accept. Makes me wonder if the truth is darker than we actually think. But wait, because there is more. He does remember something chilling. On top of running away from a fire, Jacob was being hunted down, not by a wolf. Well, at least not at first. Jacob was hunted by a vampire. He was stalked like prey. He says he doesn't recall the details, but the smell of vampire stuck with him. It's burnt into his senses. Dad says that when he found me, I was being hunted by a vampire. Pretty scary stuff. I'm too young to remember a lot, but one thing I do remember is the smell. I can usually smell when one's nearby. Jacob says he can still detect vampires when they're nearby, like it's infused in his DNA now. So what really happened that night, and how close was Jacob to actually getting bit by a vampire and turning into one? Before Vlad was able to strike, Greg showed up and he was able to stop him and turn Jacob into a werewolf instead. I don't like to dwell on it, but I do have flashes of memories from when I was lost in the woods. I knew so little back then, so a loose vampire and werewolf was the stuff of nightmares. Sometimes I wonder about the werewolf that bit me. Did they just lose control? Were they scared? I'd like to meet them and let them know that I'm happy now. Okay, so here we absolutely have proof that Jacob was bit by a werewolf. But it's still weird that he doesn't have any bite marks left on his body. Not even a scratch. Just a cute moth tattoo with some moons on his arm. And even his wolf form is untouched. No missing ear, nothing. It definitely wasn't a fight. It was more like Greg was genuinely trying to save him. A similar thing happened with Lily too. She was chased by a vampire and then got bit by a werewolf, but she ended up lost in the sewers for many years, so she does look a bit more mangled up as a result. But Celine is another example of someone who was bit by Greg, and she has so many scars on her. Everybody in Moonwood Mill has scars, at least one, and Jacob doesn't have any at all, so I find that extremely weird. weird. And it's pretty wild that he would like to meet the werewolf that bit him and tell them that he's happy now. It's like he just wants to say thank you. Despite everything, now he's okay. He found a home, a pack, and a purpose. And he even wonders if the werewolf who turned him was just scared or confused. But the truth is, it's probably more than that. Greg was most likely just trying to protect Jacob from turning into a vampire, because vampires is what Greg hates the most. I hate a lot of things, but the thing I hate more than anything else is a vampire. Is Jacob sad about being turned? Actually, no. If you ask Jacob if he wants to take the cure, his answer is simple. No. Not because he loves the power of being a werewolf, but because he found a family. I don't think I'd want to take a cure even if someone offered it to me. I'm part of a pack, and that means a lot to me. Don't take family for granted. He is okay with how things turned out, but it could also just be a coping mechanism. I mean, he can't undo what happened to him in the past, so maybe it's just his way of making peace with it now. Even though he knows he can take the cure, he wouldn't take it now. For him, being a werewolf means belonging, and he's not about to let that go. Living with Kristopher means one important rule: self-control. Control your emotions or they'll control you. Ever since I was little, Dad has taught me to control my emotions. I'm grateful I haven't had to learn the hard way. Jacob tries to be mostly calm and composed, but at the end of the day, he is still a werewolf. Because of that, school hasn't been exactly easy, because being a teenage werewolf comes with complications, like scaring off your classmates mid-exam, destroying furniture, and threatening people in the bathroom during lunchtime. It's hard to make friends when everyone thinks you might literally bite their head off. But despite the fear, the judgment, and the awkward transformations, Jacob is still an A student. And he's not even a loner. He's actually a super outgoing and social kid. So he really manages to keep a balance between his werewolf life and his human life, and charm everyone into being his friend. Well, almost everyone. You can't win them all, not even Jacob. It's especially surprising how much Jacob is able to balance his life, because he doesn't have any role models his age. He is the youngest werewolf in town and the only teenager. Everyone in town is either an adult or an elder. I didn't grow up with someone my age around. Still, I've always thought the concept of fated mates was really romantic. Imagine another werewolf fated to be only with you. The thought that someone could be just meant for Jacob really fascinates him, and he likes the idea of a fated mate. Fate really took control over Jacob's life. I mean, his house burned down, he was turned into a wolf, he's in line to be the next alpha. All these things happened to him because of fate. So maybe fate could decide who he should love as well. While other werewolves embrace chaos and rage, Jacob's abilities reveal a different path, one of self-control. Jacob mastered the will to resist and transformation mastery. Both of those skills show one main thing about Jacob: he refuses to be controlled by the Fury and the Moon. And sometimes Jacob is unable to control himself because he is still in training and he is still quite young, even though he is pretty advanced compared to his age. In those moments, Kristopher is there for him, and he can help Jacob with his transformation controls, because Kristopher has the ability to calm werewolves down when they are going into rage mode. There is something mysterious about Jacob. He seems to be a little bit confused. I guess confused in the way that some teenagers would be confused. He's not sure what he wants. Let me explain. Because Jacob has two opposing goals at once. From one side, he wants to be the alpha as soon as possible. But from another side, he doesn't want his dad to stop being the alpha. He knows he can lead. He doesn't see the point of taking over the pack if Kristopher is still able to do that. A lot of people think I'll take over the Moonwood Collective as the alpha someday. I hope that day isn't too soon. I could do it, but why would I when Dad's still around? He's such a great leader. He's just fine learning from Kristopher until his time comes. But here's the weird part. His aspiration is is literally to lead the collective, and if he grows up, his aspirations would reset. So that means that he wants to become the alpha while he's still a teen. So while Jacob says that he is in no rush, deep down, he's actually racing the clock, trying to be perfect in every area of his life and to be worthy of replacing Kristopher himself. We know that Kristopher has the intention of naming Jacob as the next alpha as per their household description. Everyone in Moonwood Mill knows Kristopher intends for Jacob to be the heir to his pack. But the messed up part is that it will be a question of time until Kristopher becomes a different type of a cult, a ghost. Kristopher says, "My parents rejected immortality and it was a difficult decision for me. I don't plan to be immortal forever. I just need to ensure someone else is ready to lead the pack before I go. The Moonwood Collective has an important past and I know it will have an important role to play in the future as well." Knowing that your dad will actually take off his immortality ability and start to slowly wither away as soon as you become an alpha, I mean, that's a lot of responsibility. And he doesn't want to let his dad go. And Jacob didn't want to disappoint his dad. Kristopher already has a daughter that disappointed him, Rory, a daughter that left the home and started her own pack with completely opposing views. By the time Jacob actually joined Kristopher's household, Lily and Rory already lived there. Rory was also adopted by Kristopher officially, and Lily was already older by the time Kristopher found her, but she really is like Jacob's big sister. And even though Rory left the home and doesn't have the best relationship with her dad, Jacob still loves her very much and maintains a good relationship with her. Somehow, even though Jacob and Rory are so different, they're still able to accept each other for who they are and not try to change each other. Rory says, "We may not be in the same pack anymore, but I love my little brother Jacob. Always have, always will. And I think the Moonwood Collective suits him well. It just didn't work for me." What she mostly means is that she doesn't want to try to protect humans by not scaring them with her werewolf form. But scaring humans is a problem, and this is a bad reputation that the Moonwood Collective is working towards changing constantly. The fact that werewolves need to protect humans is a big teaching that Kristopher pushes on his pack. Dad has always taught me that non-were sims are to be protected. I don't blame them for being afraid of us, given the history and the vampire propaganda. I hope that someday they'll see us for who we really are as an occult though. Centuries of vampire propaganda painted werewolves as something super dangerous and super horrible. But Jacob believes that it can be changed, and that one day humans will not see werewolves as a threat anymore, but as protectors and as neighbors, maybe even as family. And it's not just wishful thinking, this is the foundation of the Moonwood Collective pack, and this is their ultimate goal. I really respect my dad. He's brought a lot of lost people together, and he's taught us how to live better, safer lives. I don't know who or what I'd be today if it wasn't for him. Hopefully, I wouldn't be like Greg. Jacob deeply admires his dad. I mean, Kristopher is the reason why Jacob grew up the way he did, in a safe environment and not just trying to survive. Jacob knows that things could have gone very differently. Without Kristopher, he might have grown up angry and maybe even turned out like Greg. This thought clearly haunts him, because Greg is everything Jacob isn't. Greg is a loner with no pack, and that's something that Jacob never wants to be. And it's funny because even though Jacob is kind of an outcast in the human world because he's a werewolf, he's also an outcast in his own world because he's a vegetarian werewolf, which is super rare. Like, there isn't any other one. Most werewolves are tearing into red meat under a full moon, and he's over here grilling potatoes and snacking on mushrooms. Yeah, I guess it is a little strange to be a vegetarian werewolf. You don't find many of us. Oh well, it's who I am. Rory gets it. Because Rory's whole thing is to accept people as they are, even if she doesn't necessarily share their interests. But some people are a little bit confused about Jacob's vegetarianism. Celine is the local bartender, and she says, "I don't know how Jacob is a vegetarian and a werewolf. It's an odd mixture." But Jacob doesn't care. That's who he is. And he says that without any apology. He's not trying to rebel. He's just genuinely preferring to eat plants instead of animals. Being a werewolf doesn't mean giving giving up who you are. And when he goes on a hunt, he comes back with mushrooms and not raw meat. His fury might turn him into a beast, but his soul is still soft, still green. By the way, green is his favorite color. There's a theory about his past life, because he might actually still have a family alive in the eco town. A girl with the same facial features and the same quietly intense look behind her eyes. They really look like they could be siblings, in my opinion. And she lives with her boyfriend, so that could mean that maybe her own family is gone too in that fire. And even though Jacob never mentions his past family, you can see that he misses something from his past. Like he left something in the town, or someone. I don't think I ever want to leave Moonwood. I like the small town feel, the fact that everyone is really close-knit here. Plus, I've found my pack. If I did move anywhere though, I'd be interested in seeing Evergreen Harbor. That's where I'm from. So still, there is a part of him that wonders about what's out there in the town that he left behind. The place he barely remembers. Maybe his family is still there. And clearly he's not ready to leave it behind. Jacob is walking directly in Kristopher's footsteps. Because when the whole world sees you as the next alpha, who are you allowed to be? And his story doesn't have any blood marks or scratches in them. It's all just peaceful, except for the fire part.